For now, let's focus on this story. Coming through earlier on in the day, police have confirmed that Nigerian televangelist and pastor of the Jesus Dominion International Church, Timothy Omotoso, has been arrested on charges of contravening the Immigration Act. Omotoso was arrested in Mdantsane in the Eastern Cape this morning. Last month, the High Court in Gqeberha acquitted Omotoso and his then co-accused Lusanda Sulani and Zuki Swasito. This after finding them not guilty on 32 charges, including rape, sexual assault, and human trafficking. Let's get more on the arrest of the televangelist. I'm joined now by SABC News' Lerato Fekisi, who is in Gqeberha for us. Lerato, good afternoon. So this news coming through this morning and shocking quite a number of people, in fact, quite shocking many of us, the rearrest of Timothy Omotoso. We are gathering now that it has to do with immigration violations. What can you tell us?
Absolutely, Tulasizo. We just got a confirmation now from the Department of Home Affairs that the arrest of televangelist Timothy Omotoso follows a rejection of application Omotoso made to the Department of Home Affairs to declare him as a prohibited citizen. Now, you remember, Tulasizo, that Omotoso made an application to the High Court for the High Court not to declare him a prohibited citizen. And then the High Court said that they can't rule on that. In fact, it must be done by the Department of Home Affairs and the minister, to be precise. And the minister then made a decision that she's going to stick by a decision that the Omotoso is a prohibited person, and her decision and her standing by the decision means that now Omotoso is illegally in the country. So on Monday he's going to appear in East London at the commercial crime court there, where he's going to be facing charges of contravening provisions of the Immigration Act, and that's where things stand currently now concerning Pastor Timothy Omotoso.
What do we know, Lerato, about the circumstances around his arrest? He was in Mdantsane, but I'm seeing some pictures being circulated. Just for clarity, what do we know factually about how it happened?
What we know factually, Tulasizo, is that he was coming out of a church service that was taking place in Mdantsane. If you remember, there was quite a huge media row over him having a crusade just a couple of months after he was acquitted on all charges was facing during his court case. And the mayor of BCM declared that he would not be allowed to hold any crusades in East London. But if anything, last week we saw on social media how, in fact, he had a crusade, and even this morning he was apprehended coming out of a church service, and that's when he was apprehended and taken and in custody now at a prison in East London. So that's what we know for now. When I was speaking actually to Lasizwe, to one of the state lawyers earlier on, just asking him, is someone like Timothy Omotoso allowed to conduct crusades after he was acquitted? He said that Omotoso is allowed in terms of living his life and allowed to perform whatever it is he wants to perform. But I think the issue now is, like we said earlier on, an application that he made to prevent him from being declared a prohibited person, and now the minister ruling that in fact he is a prohibited person, and then her decision now leading to him being declared officially now by the Minister of Home Affairs that he's illegal in the country. And that's right now he's been apprehended and he's been held in custody in East London, where he'll appear in court on Monday. But logistics behind his arrest were that he was coming out of a church service this morning when he was arrested, probably a early morning prayer or overnight prayer, apprehended this morning at 5 a.m. in East London. And
Lerato, you covered that trial quite extensively, and many people will recall that at the end of the trial, part of what was said by officials, I can't pinpoint at this point who exactly said it, but I remember it at the time, and you will have heard it too, that he was going to be deported within a matter of hours, if not days, at that point of his acquittal. Do we have any idea why it has taken this long to come to this conclusion by the minister that he is a prohibited person and now faces the very same prospect that had been promised weeks ago?
Yes, on the day that Omotoso was acquitted on all charges that he faced during his case, we spoke to the NPA spokesperson in the Eastern Cape, who confirmed that there were plans to deport Omotoso. Didn't really give time frames to Lasizwe as to when he was going to be deported, but it sounded like something was going to be done urgently. We then had tried numerous times to get a hold of the Home Affairs to try and get a confirmation if Omotoso indeed had left, and only I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago we got a confirmation from the Home Affairs that in fact he hadn't been deported and there were still processes in place to try and ensure that he does get deported. So we are now aware that he wasn't deported because he was having church services in East London, which is confirmation that he wasn't. But not too sure exactly, Thulasizwe, as to why it has taken this long to deport him and the reasons why he was still in the country despite him now being declared as illegally in the country.
Yeah. So where does this leave us, Lerato, from the reporting and reporting work that you've been doing around the NPA has been doing some work, extensive work, to try and pour through the judgment that came through in that trial and see if there are avenues they would want to pursue, possible avenues of raising a question of law on appeal. Where does this leave us with that process? What are you hearing about how far that process is and whether it would be impacted by this?
The process is going to continue, and I spoke to the state lawyer, Joel Caesar, this morning. He did confirm that, like they released a statement a month ago, that an expert team of legal experts has been put together by the NPA who are going to begin to look at the judgment and they're going to appeal it, confirm that they're going to appeal the judgment. But in terms of the time frames as to when the appeal is going to be done, I am aware that they are currently sitting with the judgment, but not able to give us time frames as to when that appeal is going to be done, and then also not too sure now with Omotoso being arrested how the ties that into that, but they said that as soon as they have a specific date as to when they're going to appeal and as to also how that links to the deportation or possible deportation of Omotoso, it's still not clear as to how these two now are going to correlate now that he's been held in custody. Perhaps we'll hear on Monday when he appears in court exactly what the charges mean. Do they mean that he must be deported automatically or within a specific time frame? And then obviously the state will then reply to that to say that they are planning to appeal like they've said, and then perhaps ask for him to remain in the country or say that they'll continue the appeal even in his absence.
And Lerato, are we hearing anything at this point by way of reaction from any of the quarters that had an interest in the conduct of the trial against Timothy Omotoso, just to the news of his rearrest?
Yes, this morning we got to speak to various people, I think just community members here in Gqeberha. You understand, obviously, in Gqeberha there's a lot of public interest in the story, and people generally were very much excited of his arrest. A lot of people dissatisfied with how the NPA handled the case that led to all 32 charges against him being dropped. So generally, from whether you speak to the ANC Women's League, you speak to the Youth League, or you speak to members of AZAP who are also in the forefront in supporting the victims, generally very happy about the outcomes of Omotoso being arrested, but also just saying that they need to hear exactly what's going to happen in court on Monday, whether this means there's going to be another trial or that it's just going to be a matter of him being deported back to his country of origin, which is Nigeria. Yeah.
And lastly, Lerato, in the intervening period between his acquittal and now his rearrest, there had been that period of controversy, right? About, for instance, him being able to use facilities in the Buffalo City area for some of his services and sermons. Tell me about that.
Yes, the Jesus Dominion International Church, literally a month after Omotoso was arrested, released this huge poster of Omotoso standing as like a godlike figure in the poster with his hand lifted up, speaking of evangelism crusade that's going to be held, with Omotoso was going to obviously lead that. And then on social media there was a huge uproar as to say, you know, how was someone who perhaps was found guilty by the public because he was acquitted on all charges by the court is now allowed to go and hold a crusade in East London. And we remember the mayor of BCM, Princess Faku, coming out very strongly to say that no venue in East London will be used by Jesus Dominion International to hold any conference of or any crusade by Omotoso. But ironically, Thulasizwe, just last week, also circulating on social media, we saw a venue in East London currently being used by Omotoso where a crusade was held. And like I said to you, even this morning when he was apprehended, was coming out of a church service. So we're not too sure from what Princess Faku said to when a crusade was held last week to when he was arrested this morning, where the broken cord was, because if anything, it seems like there are crusades happening in East London where people are attending. Omotoso is leading them. His church is on the forefront of that despite the BCM leadership saying that there won't be crusades held there. But we are aware, especially from what we saw pictures on social media circulating, that in fact crusades in East London are taking place where Omotoso is leading and evangelizing people in that BCM.
Good evening, Mr. Rush. And how are you doing? I hope you are doing well. By God's grace, we are still alive. God has given us this day as a gift. So we thank him. Mr. Rush, I just want to say one or two things to our government and our president, and I want to take opportunity to use your platform. Well, I came across a certain. I read some history. Let me put it that way. I read some history about Mansa Musa, a king from Mali, who was. They say he was the richest man who has ever lived on this planet. Even King Solomon riches cannot even compare to Mansa Musa or something like that. Now, this king was dealing with gold. So the gold, because of gold, that made him the richest king or the richest human being who has ever lived on this planet Earth. And me dream back to our country called Ghana, which happened to be, I think, number one in Africa in terms of gold. And I think number three, or I think this is number three in the world in terms of gold. That means Ghana is not a poor country, and Ghana cannot be a poor country. To my understanding, as the 50 plus year old man, then Ghana is not a poor country. But we have poor-minded leaders. Poor-minded leaders that make Ghana to be a poor country. What am I saying this? Because listen, if you look at this young man, Burkinabe president Traore, he traveled to Russia, and I heard him talking about things that he need from Russia and other stuff. But what touched my heart so much was that Okache Putin said, Opeseka Burkinabe students, and I say young people now back that side. No mabe sunya how ye omoniema like ammunitions, war planes and war things, that particular university, so that they can learn. This man don't want anyone to fish for him, but he want to learn how to fish for himself. One, now this world has become a jungle. People listen very careful. Has become a jungle. And in the jungle, we had big cats now. And one no excuse. So if a lion is hungry, he go for antelope or he go for anything which he can get. He can get it and eat. The same way in this land that this current situation as I see no. One hour aduane. Okura anase a country which got ammunitions, strong, powerful ammunitions, strong security, and full security can rule others. Because a comedy one, you have no choice for you to beg. You will beg. Even in the Bible, Esau sold his, what? Or 20 near the Nimpani. Instead of him to wait, but because of hunger, he sold his birthright. He sold his birthright for hunger. because of hunger. And we lack wise leaders. We lack people who can channel the nation into prosperity. That's we lack. Because since after Kwame Nkrumah or turning Ghana into industrial nation to build factories. After Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana never met any sensible visionary leader. Let's look at it in this way. MPP by 8 years. Anna said, or focus on food security, and building factories. Anna say, ye tomatoes, ye nyadwa, ye bibia, na sa aduane ba yin dede, aduane aye abua. Ka NDC baye, the NDC will channel something else. Okay, now ye baye no. NPP aye sa ne mo nante so de be say okay, ye road, ye but these two parties have no clue to help the nation. The man say yesterday. Nana Akufo-Addo to America because of Adeside. Just yet now I understand why our minister and interior minister cannot sack or cannot chase these beggars who are disgracing our nation. Nigeria for they don't walk on we. Now I understand them because yen pan for no aye almost PhD. They are both degree PhD. What is them? Auntie, koto we are the baby. One about Junior Kutata. And nothing agent me and chasey California, their difference in Nigeria for no good manma or more tennis or manna or more soap and good mass. If we say yen pan for no or more PhD. What is it? Yeah, this is a very sad. So outside Ghana, and I would say the way I'm for is say diatem. The way Ghana, because of Nkrumah, the whole Africa, they must respect Ghana and just have you. Tebe Kwane ye. Not just say, I don't know. The person said, Mr. Mahama say, Sir, and near mana cast na US government at the break Ghana. Or ya aware now. And I say US for now Ghana for that sorry na no more be Pakistani man sure. So or ya aware dia no what Ghana shambo. No just say sebi me use kotobonku. That's the word I want to use. Say your President Mahama or ya aware say diplomatic whatever the make just or your kotobonku. I'm not insulting you. I'm telling you what is on the table. Because say or ya aware dia names or ya aware say adia US for the buy communication happen. And it will be impossible so man penny anyway. So on your way there, Oma sa and Yaman enko back. So ya was no adi dia. Nembeka say we kotobonku. And no ya US for already Ghana say a country and is safe. And no ya o. What? So on ya means what, Mr. President? And no ya yet. What you okay? La sumila. A dear pan and what you penny food trim. Travel is fighting. Say in Chimano, a bit stressy a bit my nuclear and Niema. Stress with my head, or bit my planes near Adia, by different country. What the Ghana now the OJ to say, give me. Don't even in the Bible. Almost and sa Egiano, there's no blessing in it. Than ona odi ochel. Ghana go newe. Why? Your hospitals I say bunker. O share niema ye school. Bonso na ho emma scholarship ama other. It doesn't make any sense. Kwatire kwa ono tse import to aduane mpo ne wadi. Ngo bi oboda ama millions of Nigerians, thousands of Chinese, thousands of Indians. Are you mad? I think let me use the word mad. Now what to say? I dream in Yajuma, you leaders no, the leaders become the brain in the country. So if the brain is not working, the whole body suffer. Ghana and Penfuna and Omoya did Omoya Yajun and any Yajumantino, shed your money bre. Shed your money bre. Shed your money bre. Ubiaba sikedi nkwa. Yet is so comedy. It's true. Nyankopon amma Ghana sike pies o man se Ghana pa no se yetua obi akora bi aka na se opemfo nyim na se yetua maame ne ka $1,000 na de se ne Dubai for ne for no omo yema omo citizen kwana can change because we have everything to do that. Onyankopon say we have everything to do that. But look at what is happening. Look at what is happening. It is so comedy. In fact, hush, Ayarosempa. What the more no, we embrace criminals. We embrace criminals. In Africa. I drink any team as in soon or Ghana phone cranny independent. I don't know how to go. She said, oh, you say, she madam for. I mean, show super. Now, Odo who box sabi Obia want me NCC ni maya. What do you expecting? Say me way. Say what Odo who as a young person. What do you want to Bobia or no via? Eventually, what do we really be? Obia or no and 200 and something million went me and scare or man wo a woman or ya omutu Nigeria. Still an omuntimi ama then a fancy fugitives. And I must spread the whole Africa and the whole world. Well, no, when man, what do you want say? A union. Just say, what do you expecting? What do you expecting? Bibia a year or man who are Bibiano, okay, ya penal, Obia, Duato, MPP NDC, the Jimia, Unyakopo, to say, any mama. Say nipa ma bom se mo se so a mama mo agapade mama magudie se kamunyi yi Nyankopon adwen mu no na kom no oye Ghana se Ghana lead Africa na jimifo ade Nyankopon antima anye e obi ase se obeku he fight or he resist a man will ade Nyankopon antima anye no the will of man God will never fight you for your will. God will never. It's a justice God. Remember, the Maya Teddy say good pa. You quite I said bunker. Shed the Kufu a friends, what do you call them? Bastard boys. And ma, it's a party on my penny. Biadu say no. Let's invest on these people. Invest in them. Let's build them for the nation. Then Ghana say, we choose party first than the nation itself. Now, without the nation, where is the party? I think I'm Australians kakra. Australians kakra. It's a true 2025 millennium age. Sister, you were Jimmy Kwa. No technology. You bought the ISA a friend saying, Obi Konafu. No be at Bruno, border pa, country border. US president air to wall millions of dollars to prevent criminals. What do you want to know about border? Judge for yourself. Kotobunku. Nyansen need Ghana company for team. Period. There's no sense, no wise person. Ghana need wise person. And if we get there, no nonsense wise person like Troy, Ghana can be like Dubai. Accra can be like Dubai. Tema can be like Dubai. Pans can be like Dubai. Na inyanyansa fodi anima. E wase obiampona citizen no. Asase no di nyamede ache no. Yetua manfoka krama obia ensu. Obia ensu. Kobia ensu. Basebiesom. Chimi enya dwempone enya wudie krono. Kleptocracy, thief and corrupt fail. Thieves and corruption say it doesn't make any sense. People, let's learn. God brought this story in our nose to learn from him. Africa say you should learn. Let's imitate him. Omani ebe Ghana it should be the richest country in this continent. But Sebia song anyansa fona ombedi ni mono ebi ni ho entina amaye bre no sana koye someone don't talk about party politics. Let's save our nation. Papa Muhammad when Nigeria for the Shibomu, I can tell you this man is not going to say anything about foreign issues. He's not going to say anything about Nigerians because he does say, Obama warning. Chinese GMI or no China in want me if he end to say to crowd as I see, but here Ghana for ye. India for so begum pipe gold echo. China for say go to call. Na hena ye kwe Ghana. Here onyansani. So if we say Jima, we need wise person, no nonsense person, somebody who obio adbata ye ema oman. Nye sebye som kotobunku fui. Yedamasi.
Good morning. My name is Ibiaboko. We say, give me a cat a Yohonu. So I'm sure you know I'm free immigration boss, no on an ankasa. Sibi uncle for na be shen cran hono mudi bonny no. Everyone say, everyone say, in cran for a shahodi, a motion go for in Shahaya, or mudi musa, a fat tema honey, Daniel man. In cran 41 mushe di man go for the duo move. Ezo say you know I'm fret that immigration boss no ankasa nche say borders no mu omo ye ne tight no mu nye yi a omo the chaos na ebe o man we mu that pin for no tete parliament won say tembi e ka kire wo mo omo ye ka kire wo say mo ye ka bibia fam frame ma mo pese mo beti mo pese bbc ye ka bibia e fam frame ma mo pese bbc ansa na mo hu say bbc hwe say o ma be leaky we say airport no kotoka oba besia ete ho wote ho Ghana ni oba besia oni immigration for enete airport wo no mo bo amanfo apo ema oba besia no mo twa picture abeto social media no so o me kan kire o mu se ye ne eti ekrom na mo se mo ma ho nto ya dako airport me wo ho na mo di nkwase asem dako ye begu no ye begu port no ma mo angasa mo gem behye mo ho de enkosi sisi 2025 na yesim no moma ne tu igbo kin say Accra ho na ote no enye nkran fo nko na te wo 16 regions no 15 na aka no bi ate wo bi ena omo hye gama nchaase Nti ye gama nchase na nche se gama nchenso no ye ne dia konwa o man na ye bia me fa ne sa akra kroni ne ne dia da bi impemfo to tete ho aya mi taiti me nkran ne mentinti me nua nkran no ka omo nkran kasa na mentinta Igbo kino so e be ma 2025 on tempt so obedi na fashion isi wo bokun wo ehu da ankofo no mo kon osoro da ankofo na no mo tenkran ho no te wonima aya on obetina Ghana won steady ade bi no hwe ade bi se chief limam ba hwe do mo edi nechi police fo kura ntimi ntake srimfo no se chief limam ka se wo ko bebi se na police fo no ba ku bia mko hwe police fo no yomo se omo makwan omo makwan yo se de hwe de srimfo ndi ye o mo afi no mu dwane I say respect security na I say security fo no so mu di adwene so di agro se na me ka se soldier commander na o Ghana no ye serious so ye serious ordinary nkofo gu street mo matie simma foreigners no mu gu street no mu jimi no wa ma punish wo mo ye ne citizens ne ye ha adwene sa alatafo ba Ghana mo si o mo friends ni police fine ye ne die ye ni mini police Ghana police o na alatafo fa nse o mutim se ye ne ye ni mini Ghana police e be kwa Ghana police be treat ni nyonko Ghana ni no Ghana ni mpe na asem ndi tembia o mo strategy o mo de nam ne se ye ne die ye friends ni Ghana police o Ghana police ndi o mo ye friends Ghana police na mo ni o mo ye friends na ye ni timemfo no be kan no me kan kwa paso a wo benu hu se o be kan yes me ti won me check wo se wo di mi ko police station no wo di nsamfo kire mi ana me ka che so mo metinkran no mo so kamla hye su ko no ma bitimi so kamla won kran me ho na wo di nkwase ase na kan kwase wonim se wo hene kase bitin kran me mu ana wonim se wo hene kase bi etin kran me mu ana de ho nkran ye wo hene kase bi ti wo ana hemfo nketo etwa ne ho hye o munim ye ko chanti no omunim se omufi se omu jimie no omudi gu alata me mi sa na Ghana yete ana omufi se Ghana fo ye bote yenye bote sao yene ye dwene se duru bebi na ompese so omono madane omo ho mboa time ne so a nkoma ye di no social media me se time ne eso a on so alata fo so omo ye mboa yene ye beyi adwene da yetirim ne ye de ato nche ne ya dane ye ho se mboa ona obo se omo behu se mboa ne bi abodam se ne mboa ne bi me se me yen krani na me tin kran kromu a on ka alata fo nko o steady se me yen krani na me tin kran kromu a wo nima boys wo ashama boys wo we ma muni amuguo na nkwasi afo be so kamla na omujimi omo no mo hihye market na ye wo Ghana mpemfo bo no mo hihye dankofo wo chi no mo hihye Ghana market ba ko bi na mo chi ne na mo de kamla scene so na omo se kokoshe market bi na omo enclifo chi no omo forget no ye kurom ha na o police ni kura ontimi mbe no ya tuti ya to atwene kura ma wankasa o body da baby kura me ko share small boy bi video bi o se no desie woni musemoni omudi wa akra ho nipa yesi omo onkran ho anadwe no mututu omo body no mututu omo spare parts alatafo no na mo ye tina me kan se mo hye mutirim se ai se Ghana youth no wuche mutere ya ho sibia wa na ejimi no o mama politics edidi wo muti ya to the extent say wo kana kure no no so defend or defend no kure no wo defend say enye no kure na wo kana enye politicians for ne dada o muni beba o mo so no mu kura ase mo de mo try nkran krumu ana mo de mo nsɛ no sana ho na mo say capital town mo de mo nsɛ kuru no ana matra na mo de wura ashanti na abeduru buase nda akoduru bono da akanfo ne side no endra me hwe video bi akwa bi koye no se wo so woye o hene wa santimemi wo from nowhere na ahemfo mpemfo ne chi ne wa santimemi ho no de to no e wona mu se ashanti o mu ye serious ashanti fo no o mo mama mle mu mfe ni agro ashanti fo ye serious wo ye hoho na be from mu na ye se wo di wa hindie be din semoni ana se bia otumfo enka se wo ya ma akonya na wona nam edge se no mo chiwa me se omo chi man no nye mpemfo no mo ho no mo je man share one side na ka youth be bu ne kunu anu abaye kuruma be ka kire se wo ye Igbo king wo ne nkofo wo be si school dan wo ha be si eyiwa wo beti ekuro wurafo ne sɔre ya na obehu emu mbɛɛma sɔre ya na obehu na meka sɛ yɛ ne ekuro mu yɛ bro no bɛyɛ sɛ trepe ɔmo yɛ crazy ɔmo ba police fo kura ko ɔmo chi na yekuro baako nso ɛwɔ yɛkyi ne nso ɛ da yekuro baako ne wɔ yɛ ne yɛkyi ɔmo ma bɔdam kura ase ne yɛ ne yɛwɔ kuro kɛseɛ ne mu kura no woyɛ kɔ hɔ a ɔde kɔgyimi wɔ hɔ na fa ɔmo kingdom di agorɔ ɛso ɛyɛ me wonder sɛ nkranfo kingdom no mo di agorɔ sa obetimi akɔ esirem akɔ ne esiremfo akɔhyɛ ɔmo kingdom na nkɔfo hyɛ ɔno mu di bɔne daade no wo hene na ahwɛ yɛbɛtwa am na ne yɛde watum ɛsoro kakra kura na ɔmo mienu kura na ɔmo firifie ba akom kura no hwɛ mentem ho ase bae no so hu ha ɔmo kunkum ɔmo na nkantomo a mo yɛ hɔ ho ɔmo bɛgu ɔmo anim ne nya police fo ne mpanyinfo bi na ɔmo hyɛ da nkɔfo n'akyi ɔmo di bɔne kura na ɔmo hyɛ ɔmo akyi na alata ne timi de kokin bi wura ɔmo anim no was spread na immigration boss no I metie ne speech kura mo sɛ my papa we na nkasa adwene papa ne tiri sɛ akina sɛ old man ɔndwene me pese or retired that man or retired no kwatena fie na Roberts betutu wɔ ne mfikyireti na ɔka kyerɛ police ɔmo bɛsɔ ɔgo ne problem na yɛ me yɛ sɛ Roberts for twitu a yɛ ne timemfo no mo bɔ mu tu sɛ yɛ mpemfo no mo bɔ mu tu anka yɛ pa obo se ga alatani free baby o ya roba na obefa Ghana ni no mo robo wo kurum ha oh yeah investigation oh the na asem na ko foolish case ye ni anga se ye kurum ha kura ne Ghana ha na script eduma na kura nya papa omo anka se kunkum omo se obi ko hu no kura na obeka o se ye finish no mpanyinfo no mo de dade dan no na me ya se so obi hye coat na otimi command security ni nipa na o hye coat no nso no wodi tuo hye ni nsem kro ntimi ntuo hwe afenyo marking ekobo police ni asomo public ekosi sei eyetimem ni nekobo police ni asomo public akasese ya hange ye ma ye nice nsen wie bi ye nice nsen soro mi ye nice ye ti nsen form mesi police ni na ye John me na me ye police a me catch o Mr. Right me ti me catch o me na me ye afenyo mark to me or two or me no to me bura kada de nka me wuro me uniform me hye na so man spect ne chini aba ko ya to baby omo to me na omo nim se to me na ye omo ko omo di anje odi omo pe na omo ye o man ni me say Ghana soldiers for no Ghana soldier pin na nkasa na onye serious o man ni ko ye serious anka da ankofo ni a wasanhye wo mu ni a waje omo ho adwuma o street ni so ama ten ya ko do ho we nsem pin fo omo te yeso no kwase asem no mu di no how comes that akola bi be free the kurom abete na obi kurom no waso camblesi ni so no wo di Ghana fo atem omo nim sa ahemfo akese na te Ghana ha na ahemfo akese na te Ghana ha na omo hyenkran ono mu gini alate ni beti twi a waka kire Ghana ni so ya aboa enso osuro Ghana ni so obeku ni maka kyen so ya aboa kadade na asem to no nka ye betwitwa na kun I didn't think I want fan oba na Igbo king ni wale no yes wo infantini o say that no fan kingdom ne nko infantini enko kan kire infantifo say me pese me si me kingdom wo ho na me pese me ti Igbo village wo kwasi anka de be chi na o de ponu mu enkranfo na ye week tete bia me ka say mission na nkofo ne hyehye ba no omo de fan kranfo so e ho na omo de betena nti na omo ba dodro na omo abetwe okwo akra Rodona no abechoku akra aha omo ba ha na omo yo omo ne na ma no omo se ni wicked o ni ekuru ma omo se boys ni tribum aha oba kumasfo ni afrafra aha oba ekuru mu a kumasfo wo mboasfo wo we I am free for wom we say di asofo wom we ekuru nkete ne wo ekire no omo hyehyem e wo ekuru mu a na bedi bone no omo so mu musi mukunipa mo alata fo musi munimnipa ku ye ne bae musi ye kumu a ye nkumu isi o ye be kumogu public ma kamla so ti muso tete bia me kada aseme kire omo Me am tiatim dia meka, me say me bufu na me ba wo so a. No matter how se dia otie. Se uti na metwa me twa ya me ho nto me. If se waje me akọ what do you want try? You booking one try, so I be also one try. No, one sending a fashion 2025. Asia. Ukuro na ese no muntimi nkosiesie mu kuro na nkwasi asem na mote Ghana na mudi. Ala tani jimi bia be shop wa Accra ati ni ka kire Ghana fo mba se omu ye lazy. She stupid game. Ana me ya say impeyfo mu di asu ni a yehu o ma adwene wo mutiri. Na soja pay ni pa the whole Ghana soja pay ni ti wono wo mu hweda nkofo yi. Is a kind of that politics in a chemo and it be about to we soldier commander and also ye pin out down mine and one. In some year can also uti. Is here we soldier now be two abang gua. Obient me finico mechanic so be two. America for more who are you or me wine. America for some way memo for my ammunitions go on almost blacks and Africans and almost say yes Africans here but damn near no more. And soldier pin or what it war. Minim say nkɔfoɔ no baa bɛn mu a sɛ ɔmo ma ɔmo sika bi o sɛ yɛ bribe wɔ mu ɔmo nso dwene ɔmo fu mebusa kɔmɛnda no sɛ ne nkwala a ɔmo di n'akyi so yɛ kɔmɛnda ne nkwala a ɔmo di n'akyi a ɔmo yɛ adwuma ma bosom yɛtua ɔmo kasɛn yɛtua ɔmo kasɛn ɛnso security forces na ɔsɛ nka yɛyɛ ne yie na ka yɛtua ɔmo kae na ɔmo guide ɔmo ano yɛntua ɔmo kae yie na ebɛdi na police ne nkɔgye bribe immigration ne nkɔgye bribe ɔmo ntente wɔ ɔman no onim sɛ obewu ma aka ne ba wɔ ɔman nim so ɔne ɛmɛpa immigration panyin onim sɛ obewu ne baba abɛtena ɔman nim soja panyin onim sɛ obewu ne baba abɛtena ɔman nim MPs na hyɛ ɔmo tirim sɛ ɔwɔ media bi kura passport ma mewie sika kɔtɔ dan wɔ aburokyi nti ne sɛ ntɔkwa si Ghana fum yɛnte ana afɛnyɔma akene yɛbɛyɛ election ɔhwɛ de yɛkɔ na ɔsesa ne ba kɔgu aburokyi ne yɛnya youth na ɔmo gyimi na ɔmo ndwene na ɔmo di ɔmo akyi ne yɛbɔ bi tuo ne yɛyɛ se
If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, like and share this video. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Until next time, I'll see you guys. Stay safe. Peace out.